We're going to talk about what's going on in my neighborhood. I think it's an interesting story. I've seen a lot of things change this past year or so, and I don't know if I've really talked about it here because I really want to keep, I really want to stay positive and all of those things, but like we also want to keep it real. And like, to me, what's the point in, like, for me having a vlog if I can't just talk about a few of these things? So we're just going to go there. In the last year, and I live in southern Colorado, in a population of about 130,000 people in our county. We're south of Denver, about an hour and a half. It's not too crowded here. It's a friendly town. It's always been friendly. It's John's hometown, not mine, but it is his hometown, and it's our kids' hometown too. It's where we raised our kids. We really like the community and the people, and it's home for us. I've been here long enough. It's home. I pretty much grew up here in high school, and it's my home. So I don't really want to move. But seeing all the changes happening, now we live in a pretty, decent neighborhood. And if you've watched my vlogs, as I drive around, I leave the house and I take you guys along for car vlogs, you'll see the houses and things like that behind me. And you can kind of get a sense that it's not like, we're not fancy folks. I always say we fancy like Applebee's. We're not fancy folks. But we moved here because of the school system. We wanted our kids to go to a particular school. We chose this house because of that, and it was available, and we had 3 weeks to find a house because our house had sold, our other house. So we had 3 weeks. We moved here, and we've been here ever since. It wasn't our dream home. It is not our dream home. We would not choose this. Like, it's not our number one choice. But at the time, we chose it for the kids, and it served our purposes, and it's a fine house. It's a nice family home, and it's too much house, really, for what we need now. But seeing that, financially, we're pretty set here, and, it's like we're in a good position that way. It's hard to decide, like, do we go into debt and get something different? Do we downsize? And it's just so hard to figure this out. And then, a year ago, we went camping. And like I said, we love camping. We were gone about 4 days. And when we got back, we found out the neighbor came over right away and said there was a drive-by shooting while you were gone. And we've never had that in our neighborhood, ever. The police had roped off the entire block, 7 casings. Now, I'm not going to go into detail because I don't know what the platform will, we have to be careful what we say. I'll just say 7 casings. You guys can fill in the blanks on the street in front of our house. And they were all the way, it wasn't just our house, it was all the way down the block. I don't know how many actual times, I don't know how many casings total. Nothing was, there was no damage because it was all up in the air, We have it on camera, we have the car, we have the person. It was up in the air, like pointed up in the air, not at anybody or any house. But it shook us up, and it shook us all up because there's a lot of young kids here in this block. Not a lot, but we've had younger families move in lately as the older people have moved out. And there's grandkids, like some of my friends who've lived here in the block, they now have grandkids that are young. It was a real concern, as you would expect, and a shock. It was a shock. So now, so that happened, and now ever since then, we are more and more hearing gunshots. Like, we are hearing that in the distance, on and off. We hear it on a pretty regular basis now. Early mornings, late evenings, it's become routine. And I don't know what will happen with this video. Hopefully it will, the checks and all of that it'll go out, hopefully. But it is just the truth, and I just really want to be honest about where I've been in the last year. because I feel like, because all that's going on in the background right now for me, that I'm not really sure sometimes what to talk about. Oh, hey, let's go to Walmart. I'm going to tell you about my workout. When honest to goodness, like that stuff is like secondary for me right now because there's so many other things going on. And I really do think that you could relate. I think we're all dealing with that, right? I mean, we're enjoying life. There's nothing wrong with, I like to go and show you guys, oh, I bought this new shirt, or I bought this, or hey, I was going to show you today, I did go to Walmart and get some of this Keystone meat. Never had this before, saw it on 2 vlogs today talking about it, and I said, hey, what am I missing out on? This stuff is like good for 4 or 5 years on the shelf. No added water, no preservatives. This video is not sponsored, by the way. It is not sponsored. But I just was like, it's about almost $8 a can for a 1 pound, 12 ounce can. But this is beef and this is chicken. And it's going on my long-term shelf because I'm preparing. I have been, but I think we should be prepared. That's my whole point. We should be prepared. I'm not a prepper. I'm not putting away tons of food, but I am preparing because I think that's the wise thing to do, is to prepare. What happened and is happening in Ohio right now, in Palestine, Ohio, can happen anywhere in our country. And I mean, we're not that far from railroad tracks. And I think a lot of us, like we can hear we're close enough that we hear that in the distance quite often. And that's just something that we know can happen. It's just being realistic. That's all it is. Being realistic. That's all. Let's be realistic. It can happen. And we want to be prepared. So this is the kind of stuff I want to kind of bring more and more into my channel, this kind of discussion, because this really is what's going on in my life. So that happened with the drive-by. And then we've been having just lately, like our internet is like sporadic. Like we don't have really I mean, we've called the company and we're dealing with stuff, but all of a sudden, like a lot of times I will not have internet. We've changed out our box once. You can see it back there, like right there in the corner. This setup here is wired in, and yet we still sometimes lose connection. So it's the internet, not necessarily our Bluetooth. Is that the right word? Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is the word I'm looking for. That's been going on a little bit on and off. The other day, John tried calling me 4 times from work. He literally works 10 minutes from my house. He called me 4 times. I didn't even notice. I didn't even show I had a missed call. This is happening to me more and more, where I don't show, and I've changed carriers from Verizon to Sprint, T-Mobile. I think it's T-Mobile now. Anyway, I've changed carriers, and still I have problems. Like sometimes I can't even get a phone call, and I don't show a missed call. So this has ongoingly been a problem for me for a little while. And then the other day, this neighbor knocked on my door, and I had never met her before, and she said, hi, I'm your neighbor, and she lives around the corner, kind of down the street, a few houses, but kind of around the corner. So I've never talked to her, I've never seen her. Very nice lady. And she said, I noticed you have cameras. I'm going around to my neighbors with cameras because I'm trying to find out some information about a utility trailer that was stolen. Well, come to find out, somebody just pulled right up, like just right around the corner from me, and stole a trailer about 4 o'clock in the morning, which is really interesting. It's like this 4 to 5 a.m. time frame is when we're hearing the bang, bang, bangs noises going off, and then this stuff is happening. Like it's early morning. It's kind of weird. So and we show it on our camera. We actually picked it up on our camera. They were driving by. We saw the utility truck going by with the pickup truck. So this is not the first time. I mean, we are always checking our cameras because we have several. Our neighbors on both sides of us have cameras. The neighbors in front of us, all 3 have cameras, and not just the Ring doorbell things, but like we all have cameras on the corners and everything. And so, you guys, I'm sure can relate to this. I mean, I'm sure that you can relate to this. It's like, this is not news, but so but this is very different. Like, it was never like this in my lifetime before, and now this is what's happening. So not only did the utility trailer get stolen, like just a few days before that, another neighbor had gone out to start his truck. I'm going to call him Bob. That's not his name, but let's call him Bob. Okay, I'm going to call him Bob, and then I'm going to call the guy, the thief, I'm going to call him Weasel. Okay, so Bob comes out of his house. He starts his truck early in the morning. He goes back in. No, you're not supposed to do that here. We actually have a law against what's called puffing. You're not allowed to leave your car running in the driveway because this Weasel guy, you might tempt him, okay? So I'm not making fun of. I'm just stating a fact. You cannot do that. You're not supposed to do that. And I just picked the name Weasel, and I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but I'm just calling him Weasel. Maybe I could call him Weasley. Would that make it better from Harry Potter? No, we're gonna go with Weasel. So Bob goes in. He forgot something. He started his car. He was gonna go to work. His truck. He forgot to get something, so he ran in the house real quick to get whatever it was he needed for work. And while he was in the house, Weasel's walking by with his 2 dogs. It's a he, 2 dogs, and Bob noticed that this guy was walking by with 2 dogs, but he didn't think anything of it because he's like, this guy's out walking his dogs. That happens all the time here. You don't think about it. So while Bob's in the house, Weasel jumps in Bob's truck with the dogs, starts, the car, it's already running, and he starts to take off. Bob comes out, sees this, jumps in his wife's car, goes and gets the keys to his wife's car or whatever. If he had, I don't know if he had, he probably didn't have them on him. I don't know. But he was able to jump in his wife's car and go down really fast and get to the truck. And he followed the truck to a local hotel where there were, this is not the first time that stuff has happened at that hotel, I'm just going to say. But it's a decent hotel. I mean, to look at the hotel, it's surprising anyway. Not going to call it out though. But anyway, follows him down to the hotel and the truck. And he's just kind of hanging out in the back. He's not letting the guy know that he's following him, but he's kind of at a distance a bit. Now, this is the story that I'm hearing from the neighbor. So I did not see this firsthand, but this is the story. He gets to the hotel, sees the guy. He follows the guy Weasel, who took Bob's truck. Bob follows him to the hotel. Weasel gets out of the truck with his 2 dogs, and he goes into the hotel room. And Bob sees this, and so Bob's truck's right there. He sees Weasel go into the hotel with the 2 dogs. And so he calls the police. Bob calls the police and he says, "Hello, my truck just got stolen. I'm followed the guy. We're down here at this hotel on this highway, and he's in there, and my truck's right here. Can you come help me?" And the police said, "No, sorry, we can't help." I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me, but this is the second time I've heard this very similar thing where they're told, "Nope, can't help. There's nothing we can do." So then Bob gets his truck himself. I don't know how he does it. I don't know if his wife had a set of his truck keys on him, so he just jumped in his truck and took it, or if he had to go in and talk to the guy. I really don't know. That part of the story was not relayed to me. So that's how it ends. The guy got his truck back. So this woman who came to me originally, who's tracking down this utility trailer that was stolen, she's like, "I'm going to have to track this down myself." So she's going to all the neighbors in our area, and watching this truck and seeing how far she can trace this truck with these cameras. That's what she's doing. So just wanted to let you guys know that's what's happening. And then, so things are being stolen. All this stuff's going on. And John and I are like, maybe it's time to prepare to move. And I really don't know. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm agonizing over this decision because I'm just agonizing over it because we had pretty much decided that we would just stay put and we would just sort of enjoy as much time outdoors in the beautiful state here of Colorado for as long as we can, as long as our health holds out, and just be able to enjoy camping life really with a home base. That's ideally that's what we would love to do. And then, the occasional trip I would love to take a cruise, an American cruise down the Mississippi or something like that. Like, I really would love to delve into the real history. And yeah, I would like to maybe go over and see Europe and things like that too. But right now, that's not, that's not something that would be happening in our life in the next 5 years, let's just say, but possibly later. And right now, right in front of us, here are the things that we have to deal with. We need to figure out if we want to move. So we're researching that. So one of the things I am doing is I'm just going through my house, and I'm sort of looking at my house as if we were going to move. And I'm saying, okay, we don't want to buy a whole bunch of new things. I mean, I've talked to you guys about how I'm not buying a lot of home decor, new stuff. I mean, maybe a few little items here and there, but I'm enjoying this sort of very simple, simplistic, minimal home decor right now as we process these questions, as we are trying to figure things out, because that's taking a lot of our bandwidth. And this sounds a bit dramatic, but it is just the truth. We're asking ourselves if like, you can't sleep at night and get a good night's rest and be as healthy as you possibly can when this stuff's going on, and you're not, you're waking up to things like the noises that we're waking up to, probably at least on a weekly basis now. You can't really relax, like we're always feeling like we're on guard. That's sort of how we're feeling. And I've never felt like that here. I've always had this sense of inner peace, and that's very important for me. I do, I have things that I do to try to cultivate that in my life, but it's been really, really tough. So I'm having trouble sleeping. And when you get 50, it's really important for you to get quality sleep. You might not sleep as long, but quality of sleep is really important. And you guys know I'm not a medical professional. I'm just sharing with you my life over 50 and the things that I'm learning. So I just wanted to share that story with you. I hope I covered everything, and I would love, if you have any comments for me, or let me know how things are going in your neck of the woods. Really, like, I think all of us have things that we're going through, and things that we're like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experiencing this and then wondering, what am I going to do? What do we want to do? What can we do? What are our choices? So that's what John and I are up to. And I'm going to continue to vlog. I'm going to try to get on and do some more of these sit-down vlogs, and I'll still do some of my day in the life vlogs too, and we'll see what happens here. But if there's any questions you have for me, please feel free to ask them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer. I always come back and answer my comments. Sometimes it takes me a little while, but I always come back and answer my comments. So you'll eventually hear from me. And then if there's a topic you want me to cover and go in a little more in depth, let me know. I have some ideas about, I really want to sit down and kind of go through, and let's start asking the questions, what do we do to have a high quality life over 50? And let's delve into it a little bit. That's what I'm doing in my life right now. What are the things I need to look at as I want to retire? What are the things that's going to be really important for me to have on my radar? And yeah, I'm going to take you guys along for that as well. And this summer, oh my gosh, we're already getting camping trips on our calendar already. I cannot wait. So, all right, guys. Well, that's my video today. I hope that this has been helpful. I want to thank you so much for being here and tuning in with me. And I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Any questions that you have for me, please, feel free to ask, and I will come back around and follow up. Thank you so much for watching today. If you haven't already, I hope that you'll subscribe and come back for more conversations like this one. Take good care, and I'll see you on the next one. All about the good vibes. I know you're all about the